This week's episode is brought to you by Kathy Germain and Annetta Hughes, who both suggested our featured movie on our Facebook page and both mentioned how much this movie scared them when they were kids. Thanks for the suggestion. If you have a movie you'd like us to cover, we'll tell you all the ways you can do that at the end of the episode. And now, on with the show. Welcome to episode 48 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category, usually suggested by one of our listeners, and break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we find fun or relevant. I'm your host Sheldon, and I never work the Graveyard Shift alone. Please say hello to a guy that ain't afraid of no ghosts, my co-host Mike.
Hey everybody.
And Mike, how are you today?
Pretty darn good. It's been a busy month, both in recording for this and just dealing with life stuff. Mm-hmm. But feeling pretty darn accomplished. How about you?
Same. This past week, my life's usually pretty hectic anyway, but like this past week especially has been crazy. Trying to finish up some renovations to the house, and it's just along with everything else that I'm doing. And then trying to squeeze in some extra episodes for the podcast because I'm going on vacation soon. So we don't want the well to run dry while I'm gone, right? So it's been crazy. Put. Yeah. So speaking of dry wells, Mike, why don't you tell everyone what we got in store for them this week?
Well, today's episode is "You're Way Too Late, Lassie," because we watched The Changeling.
Mm-hmm. So, without going into detail, because of course we'll do that soon enough, what do you think of this week's movie?
For the first 50 minutes, I was pretty sure that I was watching the wrong movie.
Yeah, you messaged me. You had to confirm with me that I sent you the right movie. Yeah, I would think the first question you have was like, is this the right movie? Changeling, 1975? Because I'm 50 minutes in and I haven't seen a single shapeshifter yet.
It's like, I know what a changeling is. So, given the title of this movie, I want to make sure, is there a different changeling from 1980? One that actually had to do with a child that's been replaced? Why
did I say 1975? Anyway, I think it's because of what we were just talking about before we started recording, but you'll find out about that later on. You didn't care for this one a whole lot, did you?
False advertising for about a good 80 to 75 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it did pay off, like, oh, there is a changeling. And it's not about him.
I didn't mind it that much. I kind of enjoyed it. I might have some nostalgia goggles on for this one, but I don't think I had as much disdain for this one as you did. Which is odd because usually you're more forgiving on these movies than I am. But anyway, before we get into it, here's some info on The Changeling. Released in March of 1980, The Changeling is a Canadian psychological horror movie starring George C. Scott. It has a runtime of 107 minutes, had a budget of approximately $600,000 US, and had a box office return of $5.3 million. Not bad. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a pretty decent score. 76% critic score and a 79% audience score. So there is some love for this movie. Not for Mike.
Nope.
As for the plot, a man still grieving the loss of his family is staying at a secluded historical mansion where he finds himself being haunted by the presence of a specter and tangled in a decades-old mystery. Okay, so that was this week's movie, and like all our movies, we're going to talk about the good and the bad. The good and the bad can be whatever you want to bring up. Something as specific as a certain scene, actor, character, even a certain line, or just an overall theme. It can be whatever we want, anything we liked or didn't like about it. We usually start with the bad, and we usually start with the Mike, so why change it now? Mike? I know this
You
is
mean
going
the
to...
good?
Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Boy, you are off tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if it had something to do with all, like, my... we'll say my extracurricular drinking last night, but yeah, I'm not with it today. So yeah, to go back, let's rewind back a little bit. We're going to start off with the good, and we're going to start with Mike. So Mike, I know this is difficult for you, but tell me something you liked about this movie.
My one and only good, at least so far, maybe you'll inspire me to find something else, was that after 45 minutes, finally something resembling creepy actually happens in the house. The guy, his dead child's rubber ball is bouncing down the stairs, and he's like, I don't know who the hell knocked it down the stairs, how it got up there, but it's time to let my child go. And he takes the ball all the way down to the river and drops it off the bridge, and then he goes home and is immediately greeted by the ball bouncing down the stairs, and it's soaking wet.
Yes. Love that scene. It's pretty amazing. And the couple people that suggested this movie, because we did actually have a couple of people want us to review this one. One of them actually commented on the scene. They said the scene with the ball rolling down the stairs actually sent her out of the running out of the living room screaming when she was a kid and saw this on TV.
Someone just opened up a big old can of Nopa-Cola.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was truly a great scene. Like that, I'm going to be more generous with what I enjoyed about this movie than you are. But that was one of the things at the top of my list. That was such a well-done scene. And George C. Scott's reaction to it when the ball starts rolling down the stairs again.
Well, the second half of my note was, enjoy it while you can. It's going to be another 40 minutes.
Or at least it wasn't a long movie.
No, it was just 40 minutes too long, and then another 40 minutes too long. But it did have some points in between, like... When the house actually does creepy shit rather than like, for the most part, like I initially thought maybe this guy is it's a psychological horror, so I thought maybe this guy's just losing it, like he's imagining the house is haunted.
Yeah.
Until we get to see the ball do that, and I'm just like, if he's hallucinating, that's a pretty damn good hallucination.
Right.
And then they have the seance scene, and it's just like, well, now you can take comfort. You're not crazy.
It's confirmed. Okay, so first I got on my list is that just the overall story. I thought it was a really good story. It's like in 1980, this wasn't something that was too popular. I mean, a traditional ghost story was, but they took a traditional ghost story and kind of mixed it with a bit of a mystery, a family scandal, involved it with some politics. So I think that was, at the time at least, that was something that was pretty original. But the main part is that they did all the haunting scenes were all done well. Like, it's the type of thing that people always reported about haunted houses. So just I thought the overall story and overall atmosphere was pretty well done.
I thought it had a good premise. It just took so long to get to any of those interesting points that it was kind of like muted by the boredom by the time it got there.
And this movie is a slow burn. You've got to be prepared for that for sure. But like I said, it's a slow burn, but luckily the movie's not very long. So that was it for your good, huh?
Yep, keep going.
All right. The acting was decent in this. Not from everybody. There's a couple of people that were a little over the top, minor characters at least.
Oh, you mean like Weepy Susan?
Yeah.
Who is just in every scene, she just has to be crying like, oh, there's a ghost in the house.
She started off pretty good. I didn't mind her. Like I actually liked her character. Started off is once she started like she experienced the haunting of herself.
And that broke her.
That broke her. She went into hysterics, and I was like, oh, okay, there we go. We've got the typical female character like written into a horror movie that's just breaks down with hysterics.
Yep, we've got the female character, which is obviously written by a man who has dealt with, a woman going through her emotions.
Yeah.
And he's just like friggin' like women, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you're not right, but you're going to write it down in the movie and make everybody think you are right.
So I'll give her acting half points. She started off pretty good, but then and maybe it's not her fault. It's just the way it was written. Maybe she got thrown into the role, but I'll give her, half points for the first half of the movie. I really like George C. Scott's acting. I thought he did a great job in this.
Well, what do you expect from the voice of drugs?
From Cartoon All-Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay, kid. Just try drag. It'll make you feel great.
Yeah. I can't believe that's him. Holy shit.
That's acting, man.
Yeah, that's true. And like I said, he had some good acting chops. Like, a scene at the beginning when he, like, witnesses his entire family getting wiped out. That... Well, first of all, okay.
That was ridiculous. That's in a different section for me.
Oh, well, the only section I have is like, oh, that sucks, but, that door can't open. Phone booths do have, the doors do function. You don't have to wait until, like, once you shut the door, there's not a timer on it or anything.
Yeah, you can open up that door whenever you want. Like, why is he trapped? Also, yeah. Okay, so to set the scene for people who may take my advice and not watch this movie, or at least, like, think that, if Mike doesn't like it, why should I? Like, the movie begins, he's pushing the car with his family, he's having a very sweet moment, they're all just talking, laughing, like the car broke down, but, as long as we got each other, we're fine. Well, he's not going to be fine for long. Because he goes to call AAA, or whatever existed in the late 70s, and, he sees from what I remember, he sees a truck driving. It's just like a regular snow truck, like a truck filled with snow in the back. And it's not weaving on the road. It's not driving irregularly. It's just driving as a truck will do. And he immediately tries to, like, throw himself out of the phone booth. Like, what's he seeing coming? I have no idea. Like, why is he worried? I don't understand.
He sees both vehicles. He sees the snowplow, the truck with the plow, and then he sees another vehicle coming in the opposite direction that's weaving around the road. It's kind of like losing its traction on the snow on the road.
Yeah, they're skidding out. But again, like, why is he? Like, I can understand him being like, oh, something's happening, but he's trying to get out of the booth. Like, what is this fucker going to do? Is he going to, like, plow? Is he going to, like, walk slowly through knee-deep snow, like, wade over to a crash and be like, hey, you better not crash into each other? Like, is that what he's going to say? Like, what does this guy actually think he's going to do? Like, push a car back onto the road to straighten it out? Like, grab both of his kids and grab his kid and his wife and, like, throw themselves into the forest?
Well, I think it was more of just warning his family about what's, hey, look out, there's a vehicle, like, kind of sliding your way.
Yeah, but, like, it didn't cause the truck to veer off the road, so, so many things could have happened. Like, the truck could have slowed down, the car could have straightened out. Like, this guy, it's like he read the script, and he's just like, oh, no, I got to prevent this. Like, rather than, like, oh, something is happening, I hope it turns out okay. Like, you think the family would have heard, like, the car, like sliding on the road, but, I mean, it's not like this was in a generation where everybody had headphones. Like, they should have, like, they were just having a snowball fight, and they weren't even on the road. The wife and the daughter were way on the side of the road. Like, there were so many places that truck could have hit. It's just like, oh shit, plot magnet, pulling the truck. towards family.
But I mean, that happens. But that's it. That's an accident. That's what happens.
Yeah, but the fact that he saw it coming, to him it's like it wasn't an accident. It was like a dire prediction he was trying to avert.
That's not what I see. That's not what I got from it at all. I saw that he saw one direction, that the plow was coming towards him in one direction. He looked over at the other direction. He turned like to continue making his call, and when he faced the other direction, he saw the car that was starting to lose traction, and he automatically clicked with him that like they're going to meet right at where my car is, right where my wife and daughter are.
Okay, now if he's so smart, why couldn't he open the door to the phone?
Now that is the thing right there. It's
plot magnets, keeping metal doors closed.
There you go. Hey, maybe it was the ghost that was keeping it closed. He needs George C. Scott to go to his house, and this is how he made everything happen.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder: is this like more sexism on the behalf of the writer? The fact that like these two women, who like women are known for their sense of awareness more than men. Like they say, like, oh, a woman's eye. Like they're supposed to be more attentive and intuitive. Like less prone to screw ups than men. I mean, how often do you see like a female version of Jackass? Not often. I mean, like, you don't see a bunch of girls kicking each other in the clam going like, that's comedy. Like, no, they've got more brains than us. So, like, and to have these two women, again, no headphones on, like, they're not making an inordinate amount of noise. You think they'd be hearing these two vehicles, and they'd at least, like, cast an eye and be like, oh, we should, like, get a little closer to the trees, or... I mean, like, he's off in a phone booth about a good... I don't know, what would you say the distance was?
Oh, he's not that far.
I know, and he's in an enclosed phone booth, and he heard these things coming. And they were out there, and like you've been out in the woods in the winter. You know how well sound carries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and they didn't pay any attention, like...
Yeah. No,
there's no reason they couldn't have heard anything.
No, it's true, but they're kind of caught. They were caught in a moment. They weren't really just weren't paying attention. It happens. Okay, but anyway, yeah, like
we spent way too much time on this.
Yeah, really. Okay, so I liked George C. Scott's acting. I thought he did a great job. His reaction, other than like his character not being able to figure out how to get a phone booth door open, everything else he did was great.
Why didn't I ever play Superman?
Yeah, so I don't know. I just thought that for the most part the acting was pretty well done, and I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy that played Senator Carmichael, he looked like he was about 90 years old in this, so I thought he did a good job. But so as far as the acting goes, yeah, I'd give it a pass on the acting. And overall, so I guess we can sum up the good pretty quickly if you've got nothing else to add. Overall, just I thought it was at its time what it was. They didn't, try to make it any more than what it was. They just wanted to do a creepy, semi-corny haunted house story, a little bit of a thriller, some psychological horror, and I think they accomplished that. So overall, I think it's not bad. You said you wouldn't recommend it. I think if someone's looking just for like a simple ghost story, they should check it out.
I don't know. If I was going to go for a haunted house, I'd go like more Amityville or Poltergeist than this. Also, like, I guess, I can start nitpicking when we reach the bad.
Yeah, well, we're at the bad, so that's fine. Nitpick away.
Okay, well, you talk about the pacing. My first note is, half an hour in, his family's dead, he teaches music, and the house is haunted. That's like that's what the first 40 minutes is.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
That's the only thing that's established in 40 minutes.
Well, the house being haunted is kind of like the big part of the movie, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's called the fucking Changeling, not the haunted house.
Okay, so So what you're saying is that it didn't move quickly enough for you.
Yeah, and also, if it's called The Changeling, I really, like maybe the name subverted my expectations and warped my perception for this movie. Like, I don't know what other people are expecting when they hear this name, but since I know what a changeling is, which is usually like a creature that assumes the form of a child and replaces it in the parent's house so that it can be taken care of, or get close enough to kill them. Like, we've seen changelings
Hey,
in
but
movies
wait,
before.
wait. But doesn't that fit the definition? It's like another being that takes the place of a child, takes over.
Yes, and since we've established this man's family died, I was really expecting the ghost to take the form of his daughter and convince him, like, I'm back, Daddy. Like, he's missing a child. This is where the ghost comes in and replaces the child. Or the changeling is a thing that has like malicious intent. Like, it replaces the child intentionally, and we're gonna get into that plot later. But that does not exist. Like the changeling as a monster, as like a shape shifting creature with malicious intent, does not show up at all in this movie.
Yeah, I will admit calling it the Changeling was kind of was not the best idea.
You're giving away the ending in a terrible misleading manner, and not like the good misleading, like, oh, it was like the Maltese Falcon, where it was like in like some wax copy of itself. No, none of that. It's like you're giving away, like, supposed to be like the big surprise in the story is, oh, this kid that was killed a long time ago, yeah, the senator that everyone knows about. No, it turns out he's not the real senator. He's been replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he replaced the real kid who was killed as a child by his father. But again, that's not his fault. Like, the changeling as the monster we know is not like some weird forest creature or a fairy that has replaced a child or abducted it or killed it and took its place. It's like, again, it's misleading in all the wrong ways.
I get it, but maybe like that, like I said, like all it's the definition of changeling is just one being that takes the place of another in childhood. So maybe like you strip it down to the bare bones, maybe it fits.
But again, even then, like 90% of the movie's not even about him.
No, that's true.
If he was doing something wrong as in the identity of the person he's replaced, then the movie's about him. Fuck this movie.
They should have came up with like a very original and groundbreaking title, like The Haunted House.
At least then the fact that there's a changeling involved would be a nice surprise. We'd be like, oh, they handled everything wrong. But, we'll alternate our points rather than just me dominating this section.
Okay. And so just so first of all, I just want to go back to the good, because some of the scenes in this movie were actually pretty well done, I thought, based on what they had. Like him finding, him discovering the hidden room. Well, the ghost child, first of all, revealing the hidden room by breaking out a window, and him realizing that he doesn't know what room this window belongs to, and finding a hidden room boarded up in a closet.
Shelves on the door.
Shelves up, yep. Tears it apart, finds the room, and finds like a place that hasn't been touched in a very long time, and a creepy ass,
isn't it like staircase? Isn't it like a staircase?
Yeah.
He finds a fucking staircase behind a door.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, like, who puts a door in front of a staircase?
So I like that. But then I realized, so this house belonged to the Historical Society for a long fucking time, had a few people come and live there and leave because it's
You
something
know,
that the
I can only find the first 2 floors on this 3-floor house.
well, it's not like it was just like a small room hidden away, like a just a tiny like one like a small bedroom or something, like a small child's bedroom. But like this was an entire staircase, a hidden room,
The
and
attic.
nobody in the historical society, discovered this at any point. So, yeah, nobody looked up
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, that stained glass window, I have no idea what room that leads to. I better go check this out."
Yeah,
So,
you know that really ugly shelf with the door behind it? Maybe we. I mean, it's not like there's a back wall holding up these shelves and, ooh, kill surprise. There's a door behind that back wall. No. You can see the door through the shelves.
so while it was an effective scene, it was creepy, and finding that room with the old dust-covered wheelchair, that was very effective. Just the
Oh, that's always good.
just the premise behind it. It's like after I started thinking about it, great scene, yes, but like it really made no sense, especially since when we find out what actually happened. That this guy, replaced his child with a healthy child, killed his sickly son and replaced it with a healthy child. So, what was the point of boarding up the room?
I would say, what's the fucking point of calling it the Changeling when the dad is the fucking killer?
Okay, yes, you already said that a dozen times. We get it. You don't like the name, but what I'm saying is, like, the way the story played out is that the dad killed his sickly son, replaced him with a healthy son.
Yeah.
But what he said was that they went, to where did he said he brought him to Europe somewhere, right, to get some like state-of-the-art medical treatment.
Yes, yeah, the arthritis cure that,
Yeah.
everyone knows in Europe.
Yes, and he went away. So, what exactly was the point of covering up, like boarding up the room, boarding up the staircase, to make it seem that like this room never existed?
To keep the ghost in that room, maybe?
But it didn't. That's the thing. It didn't keep the ghosts in that room. And so was that like, all the time he lived there? That also brings up another point. With Carmichael, Senator Carmichael and his father living in this house like all that time, they'd never once encountered a ghost?
Yeah, you think if the ghost is going to be pissed off with somebody, he'd be like, hey, fucking asshole dad that killed me?
Yeah, he's got no problem.
How about you drown in the bathtub now?
He's got no problem killing other. I mean, the ghost kills somebody in this movie. It kills the police.
Yeah.
The police chief
Outside of the house, too.
outside the house, flips his fucking car over.
In the middle of a fucking intersection, about a mile or 2 miles away
Yeah,
from the house. So this ghost probably did kill George C. Scott's family.
like that's what I said. It's
Like, we don't know his reach has no limits, apparently.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna knock off a few right here because it just made no sense to me. So they lived in that house. They weren't affected by the ghost. Like, the senator has no idea. Like, doesn't you think that would have been something that they brought up during their talk? About being haunted,
Yeah.
living in a
You
haunted
think-
house.
Yeah, you think being in that house that the guy would say, by the way, there was this kid who kept saying that he had my name and he kept calling me an imposter. I wonder what he meant by that.
Kept banging stuff around. Like, always there was always some kind of banging going on and things getting moved around. But nothing like that. Other people lived in the house. Like, they didn't put on the path of trying to figure out what's going on. The ghost can obviously leave the house, and like actually even kill. Like, it went after, killed the inspector that was giving George C. Scott a hard time, but didn't go after the guy.
He pulled an 11 on that car.
Yeah, and he could
He
go
flipped
back.
that bitch.
He could go back and forth between the house that he died and the house that had the well hidden underneath it, where his remains were.
Where he could traumatize a little girl.
He traumatized the little girl, but like he waited until just then, recently, to do that. So it was just effective, yes, in its spookiness. They really did do a good job in creating like a creepy atmosphere, some good creepy scenes, but it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, there should have been something. Maybe, I think maybe they bring it. It could be like something along with the sorrow that this guy held, that George C. Scott's character had about losing his family. Maybe bringing that there did something to awaken the spirit, but I don't know.
I would imagine that. I thought that if so, that like that pain would only mean that the ghost can only communicate with him because he's got that pain.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like this ghost is again like miles away, fucking up another house and flipping cars in down. Where is this? Maine?
No, it's in New York.
Again, like flipping cars in upstate New York.
Well, at least it starts in New York. Maybe that's not where the bulk of the movie took place, but I know it started in New York. But anyway, that's besides the point. Just that I don't know. It just seemed like a bad decision to. They kind of broke their own rules because, like, if the ghost is confined to that house, like, why did the ghost need anybody else to do all this? If it can, like, pop back and forth and kill people when it wants to, why did it need somebody else to uncover everything?
You'd think that you'd think that at best that the ghost would possess him and make him kill people as like a puppet of the ghost. Like, have some fucking reason he's in this house. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got George C. Scott, excellent actor. How about making him do some shit for the ghost rather than just like, I guess I got a ghost roommate.
Yeah.
He's knocking some shit over and reminding me of my kid.
Yep. So what else you got on your bad?
When I first saw the drowning scene, I thought it was like the stupidest fucking drowning. Because the dad just holds the kid's legs up, and he falls down, and he's got his legs up, so he's like falling back into the tub, and he's drowning. And I'm like, dude, all you have to do is just do a curl, and your head is above the water.
Yeah, but the kid was paralyzed from the waist down.
I heard it was arthritis.
Yeah, but still,
which means he would have like stiff joints. But get your hands around your pull yourself up. You'll be sore tomorrow, but you'll have it tomorrow.
Yeah, but this is I don't know. I can't. To me, see, like I felt the complete opposite about that scene. I thought that was a very powerful scene, and you got to realize this is a little kid as well, being held in place by a full-grown man.
I'm not against the drowning. I just thought, like, if the dad came up from behind him and held his shoulders down, then this kid is fucked. Like, there's no way that he could get above the water. Like, it still accomplishes the same thing, but holding up his legs so that, like, he's falling back, that he's, like, stuck in the tub. Like, there was a better way to do it.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna disagree with that one. I think that
it's trivial compared to the other things. I just needed something to talk about this movie because I didn't want the episode to come up short.
Yeah, I don't know. I think based on the kid, especially with the kid's health and how weak he was, I think that would have done the job.
Yeah, you can do it, but again, like usually if you're gonna drown a kid in a bathtub, you got to go by the old standard child drowning. The old standby that we all know about is, you hold the shoulders down.
Oh, well, I guess you know more about killing kids than I do. So.
Well, I'm on a limited budget. I got to keep my money.
Okay, so next on my list for the bad is I've got Claire. The character Claire, played by, what was her name? Trish Van Devere, is that her name? Anywho.
Trish Vandersaab?
Nah, it could be. I don't know. Anyway, her name's Claire in the movie. But, like I said, she started off like I thought she was a fine character. Like, didn't really make that much of an impact. But the acting was fine. The character seemed to be, the role seemed to be fine. But what really bothered me is after she knows everything that's going on in this house, it's leading up to her scene when she gets attacked by the ghost, when she goes into hysterics, when she gets chased by the wheelchair, which was a great scene in itself. It's just that it bothered me that it came down to that scene because she knows all the stuff that's going on in this house, that it's haunted, the ghost can get violent, it's already killed somebody. she knows about it because she was the one that told John that. She was the one that informed him that, the police chief has been killed by this ghost.
Yeah, how did she know that? Like, was she passing by him on the way?
Or she figured it, and at least anyway, that it seems like an awful coincidence. But she goes to the house, walks in, looking for John. John is not responding because he's not in the house. He's left. And she starts walking all through the house by herself after she knows that there's a freaking angry spirit that's capable of murder haunting this place. And then she's surprised that the thing tries to kill her. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Are you that stupid? Stay the fuck away from this house. If John, call John, see if he answers. Call there and wait outside the house for him to get back. Anything. Don't go in there.
Yeah, or bring a teddy bear. Try to pacify the ghost. If you have to go inside, bring toys.
So anyway, that's just... I just thought, it was a great scene when she's being attacked by the ghost, and it was at the time probably a scary scene. I mean, being run down by this freaking, possessed wheelchair.
Oh yeah, this is the second week in a row that we've seen
somebody getting run wheelchair. Down by a phantom wheelchair. Yeah. And this one actually did it better than the other one. Because that was one of the worst scenes from that movie. And we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and if anyone's wondering. It was probably the worst scene from that movie, but...
It makes you wonder if next week we should go for the trifecta and watch Silver Bullet.
Oh, that's on the list, actually. Somebody's requested that one.
That's how you... that's how you put a wheelchair in a horror movie.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But anyway, like I said, I'll repeat myself again. It was a good scene. Just that, why the hell are you there? Get the hell out of there. Don't go and start walking through a haunted house shouting. If the guy is there, he would have answered you, okay? And why is he even staying there in the first place? Leave the fucking house.
White people don't know how to leave a haunted house.
No, you got that right. I would have been out of there so fast. Holy shit.
Yeah, the second the walls start bleeding, get out. All right.
Yep.
All right. Sure. Yep, you got it.
Whatever you say, Mr. Ghost, I'm out of here. Okay, so what else you got? I know you must have more to say.
My third one was, so there's a second haunted house?
Yeah. 2 hauntings for the price of 1.
It's like his ghost is haunting one place, but his body is haunting a second their summer home. Mm-hmm. with a well hidden in the floor.
Yep, I actually didn't mind that. I thought that was pretty cool because you got the 2 things that typically from the lore of hauntings that can trigger a haunting is the place of death and the place of the remains.
Yeah, but it's usually one or two. It's usually one or the other, not both.
But why can't it be both? To me, if there's 2 things, if you're going to believe in ghosts and hauntings, if there's 2 things that can trigger a haunting, why wouldn't it be able to be both?
Well, the earthly remains can chain the spirit to the world, but the place of death usually traps the soul because that was their biggest shock before moving on. It just usually in ghost lore, hauntings are limited to one spot or one area. Again, this was just more examples of this ghost has no rules.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is a big thing with this. It's the rules of the haunting made no sense. Oh,
and I'm saving one of the biggest rule breaks for the next one, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I've kind of used mine. I've just kind of threw all mine into the bad section. So
so my last bad is the little chain hiding in the dirt. It's if he found it when he first uncovered the bones, that's fine. But what pissed me off was that the police didn't tear through all that dirt when they found the body was there when they were called over.
Yeah.
That they only, it's like they grabbed the only bones that they could find, and they're just like, well, we've got like 7 bones, and that's it. Like, get some fucking shovels, open up the floorboards, like, dig that well down to the fucking bedrock. Or at least take like a good 20 feet of dirt just to be on the safe side. To see if, like, collect all the bones.
Well,
but
I'm glad you said that, because it kind of ties into the last thing I got on my bad list, is that worst cops ever. Because, first of all, they didn't find it suspicious. Like, they didn't want to take this guy in for questioning or anything, because he just happened to know all of a sudden, thanks to a ghost, know where to go dig up a floor, cut open the floor of the house, get into the foundation, dig up an old well, and find the remains of a child's body inside.
Yeah, you knew that there was. Yeah, somehow you knew for a house that you did not own or live in that there was a well in this room, and you decided to just dig through it until you found some bones.
Yeah. I'd be like, no, there's something going on here. I can legally hold you for 24 hours. You're coming to the station with me.
Yeah, and I'm gonna use those 24 hours to figure out, like, what the fuck were you doing there?
Now, it would have, if one of the cops did that, as we turned out with the other cop that tried to interfere with this thing, they probably would have ended up dead. So it's probably better that he didn't. But it just still goes to show that they weren't very good cops.
Maybe the other cop was killed because he was on the payroll of the senator.
No,
and somehow this ghost knew that, because this ghost is always listening to everything.
So why didn't he just go after this again? Why didn't he just go after the senator himself if the ghost could do all this?
Why is he pissed off with the senator? That guy had nothing to fucking do with his death.
But I understand that. But then again, you're looking at a child's mentality as well. Like that. I can kind of excuse that because it's an angry spirit. They don't give a fuck. They just want their vengeance, and he's the only one to get vengeance on.
You think he would have killed the dad, and that would have been it?
But if he's got this power to kill people, yeah, why wouldn't he, when the dad was still alive, just go after him?
Yeah, drown him in the bathtub.
But anyway, we're gone off on a tangent again. So that was my final bad, was just inept cops. Like, that's just, I don't know why the cops should have had more questions there. Like, so we both, for our final thing on our bad list, is that we both had, like, how terrible these police officers were.
That seems to be a theme in horror movies, bad cops.
Oh my god. Most horror movies depend on that, man, that the cops have no idea what they're doing.
Okay, so I guess we're ready for What the Fuck Land.
Yeah, well, here's a section, just in case this is the first time you're listening to the show. We just used to do the good and the bad. But because of a certain movie we watched a while ago called Pieces, that ended so abruptly and out of nowhere, the final scene just confused us completely, and both of us, our only note on that final scene was what the fuck. We decided to come up with a new section a while back called What the Fuck. And that's where we put anything that about the movie that confused us, left us bewildered, just came out of nowhere. And I kind of already used mine up for this movie, because most of mine got incorporated into my bad list. But if you've got something that to add to the category, then you go right ahead.
Well, my first one was already covered, which was All That Road, and he's the only one that sees this crash coming. And the second one was, did one of the ghost's powers include giving him low blood sugar? Because there's quite a bit of fainting in this movie. He's waking up in chairs, passing out on the phone. Like this ghost is either intoxicating him or giving him a case of low blood sugar. And the last what the fuck is basically how this fucking movie ends. Because, to reiterate, a rich bastard murders his sickly son, who will stand to inherit or rule a company before the father does. Like, somehow this kid's going to get money, and he requires...
Well, it was the mother's family that was rich. The father married into it, but what they did is that
Oh
after the
yes.
mother died, everything
The
was
money was in a trust.
was yes trusted to the kid, but the kid had to live to adulthood in order to get it, and with the father just giving like guardianship, so he wasn't, if the kid died before reaching adulthood, the father was not going to get any of the money.
Yeah, like for some reason the mother realized her husband was a fucking bastard, but did not stipulate in the will, get that fucker out of the house and get like a foster family to look after my son. Like, she didn't think that far ahead. Like, enough to piss him off, but not enough to actually get rid of him. So you're keeping a pissed off, disgruntled man in the care of a sickly, dependent child, which turned out great for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets drowned. So little boy gets drowned in the bathtub because the dad thinks, I'm not going to chance it on you, you little sickly wimp. And then he replaces him with some boy that he found in an orphanage. Spends a year in Europe training him in like family history and all that. And like, we don't know when the boy, how old the boy, 7 or something.
Yeah, I think so.
So he brings the boy back, and the boy just pretends to be the kid. I mean, like, I think at this point, like, we don't know, like, he probably didn't tell him anything. He's just like, look, you want to fit in my family? You're going to, like, my son died, but I can't stand the shame and stigma, so you're going to be him, and this is your name, and that's that. Like, the kid had nothing to do with this kid's murder. He's no conspirator. He was just a kid that, you got adopted, which is, when you're in an orphanage, that's the golden ticket. And he was like, by all accounts, a decent dad as the senator. Well, because he grew up to be a senator. So, like, this guy had no complicity in the crime of this kid's murder, but he still, like, had his name. So the guy, George C. Scott, gives him the medal that was found in the well that the cops didn't find because they're fucking terrible, and he gives him to him, and they have a chat, and at first, like, he doesn't believe him. Like, as far as we know, this kid, like, he probably doesn't remember his childhood, because why would you want to remember, like, a terrible orphanage from the 30s? Like, I don't think anybody ever had good times in those places. So the guy goes home and he tells the ghost, like, well, I did my part. You're just going to have to deal with it. And the ghost decides, you're going to see how I deal with it. And the ghost sets the house on fire, and then astral projects the old innocent orphan man into the house. But we think, did he teleport him in the house? No, because we see him also in his office, shaking, vibrating at his desk, like he's having a stroke. But we also see the old man walking up the stairs in a burning house. Not like, I'm in a burning house, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So it's clearly like his soul is being compelled to walk around this place. And the house burns down with the old man's soul in it, which kills him.
Well, see, that's not the way I saw it at all, because don't forget this whole, what you call the astral projecting, he did this, the ghost did the same thing to John, because that's when John was sitting in a chair and he saw the whole thing about how he got murdered, and that was how he passed out, like, afterwards from.
Well, it's not really astral projection. You're just having a vision because you're in your house. This is like pulling the old man from his estate into the house, and he's awake at the same time. Like, we see him standing over his desk.
Yeah, well, we don't know what happened. Like, you don't know the vision. As far as I was concerned, from what I saw, it was the exact same thing. And the senator was actually having a heart attack in his office before even seeing that.
It was just weird to have him in, like the senator as the old man in the house. Again, this ghost is holding him responsible for something he had absolutely no part in, except for like a year after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And again, who knows what he was told? So,
Oh no, I agree with you in the part that the senator, when that happened, I mean, he was an 8-year-old. as far as he knew, like, when it comes to adoption, he was given like a new name and everything. As far as he was just a little kid, like I'm pretty sure it
Yeah,
wasn't explained to him that he was like a replacement for the guy's dead son.
yeah. He just thought like, oh well, I'm given a new identity, and this is what I'm going to be in the world. Like again, like there's no. Usually in a haunted house, like there's always like a sense of justice. Like if a person has been wronged in life, they need that justice in death. This is holding a completely innocent man accountable for someone else's actions, and it's just not.
Well, I mean,
To me, there was no point. There
that
was no
happens in a
justice
lot
in
of
it.
like it comes in a lot of ghost stories though. That happens. It's like the angry spirit needs vengeance, and they don't care who the vengeance is taken on. Like it doesn't matter that the person was, they're not really at fault, but because they benefited from it, it's going to come after them. That's something common in ghost stories.
I've seen different ones.
Well, I mean, no, there's the ones where they go directly after the person directly responsible as well, but there's lots of them where this person is like, they're just involved like by happenstance, but the ghost comes after them. So that's not uncommon when it comes to the lore of like angry spirits. But yeah, it is. You are right that he's not. And the way I saw it was like the whole astral projection thing was the exact same thing. Like this guy's dying, the ghost is showing him, like actually brings him right to that room to show him what happened. Same thing that he did with
This is why you're dying.
with John. And maybe it was John's confrontation of him that caused him to die and made him have a heart attack. So and the ghost is like, well, you're going to die, so I'm going to show you what happened. But either way, yeah, like, I don't know. It's the whole thing was kind of odd to me. Like, I would have liked it better if they had kept it like a bit of a murder mystery type of thing. The whole thing involving the sender, I think, was kind of stretching, was kind of reaching.
Yeah, and given the age of the senator, like dial it back a bit so that the father would still be alive, and like he's living off of his son's fame.
Yeah,
and like the son would bring the man to justice for what he's done.
The father being like the old man, and the senator being like a little younger, even if it's like 20 years, and the father is still alive.
Like if the senator was middle-aged.
Being the one to find out and go confront him about it.
Yeah, like if the father's still like the patriarch of the family, or like the family business, that the son like gets justice in his namesake's name.
Yeah, no, it could have been handled better, sure, but overall, I didn't mind it. So is that it for your what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that's our good, bad, and what the fuck. So overall, you're telling people that not to bother with this movie. Is that right?
No, there's better ghost murder mystery movies.
There's better.
And better movies with changeling type creatures in them.
Of course there's better movies. I mean, this doesn't fall nearly on my list of like something that you have to see. I actually didn't mind it. Like I said, I obviously didn't have as much disdain for this movie you did. I would suggest people to go see it, especially since it's not long. It's 107 minutes, and it's free on YouTube. You can just look it up on YouTube. We didn't pay anything for this one, so.
I would suggest go watch Cartoon All Stars, and just imagine that, that this would have been a great twist in that movie where George C. Scott is the ghost, and he's trying to convince a 7-year-old of a family that moves in that he should try pot.
Yes.
That would be a better movie.
I also recommend trying pot. So, maybe while you're watching this movie.
Yeah, well, if you were a little more inclined with the herb, which, we just missed 420. But,
you might have missed it.
Well, there you go, folks. This show could have very well been called The Blaze Yard.
That's the next show that I'm doing. But so yeah, so go check it out, guys. It's Mike disagrees, but like I didn't find it that bad. It's certainly not, it's to me it's not going to be on my must see list or anything like that. But if you're looking, you want something you haven't seen before, don't mind watching an older horror movie, older ghost story, I should say. There's not a lot of horror going on in this one. But if you're into, a ghost story with a creepy atmosphere, haunted house type of deal, then check it out. I don't think you're going to be extremely disappointed. So, Mike, I guess I know what you're going to pick for for your segment, but I think I got it figured out. But I don't know. Sometimes you surprise me, but I don't think you're going to this time. But what have you got for us?
Well, it's a very confusing selection on this week's Kill of the Week. And the pickets are really fucking slim with the mother and daughter getting plowed by a truck with no discernible, like way too much warning for someone who's far away and not enough warning for someone who's close by. And then there's the detective who dies off screen, which I get for budget constrictions they couldn't have shown the car flipping, but that would have easily made the list if we got to see the ghost flip the car.
That would have been cool.
But we didn't, so winner by default goes to the ghost murder, the spiritual murder of the poor senator by the ghost, who just decides, like, instead of killing him in his office, I am going to drag his soul, while he's still alive, into this burning house. While he's suffering a heart attack in his office. Like, I'm going to double kill this man. for a crime he did not commit. Because I am a shitty ghost. And,
well, I told you, man. Ghosts don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so again, like, even when you got a psycho ghost who, has no justice, like, is the ghost appeased afterwards? Like, they burn the house down, or are they now haunting rubble, or is he just moving on to another... Is he just going to be, like, resuming haunting the well house?
Yeah,
like,
I guess
did we ever see the boy move on?
No, we didn't. We just assumed that he did, so...
Yeah, so again, like, no rules, no pathos, no justice, no resolution, but it's what we got, so...
Mm-hmm. So, I gotta ask you, like, what did you think of the scene of when John confronts the senator? Not the first time when he confronts him at the airport, but when he actually gets summoned to the senator's house when the senator thinks that he's just looking to bribe him.
Well, the senator, he seems very distrusting. Like, he's anxious to get rid of this guy without even listening to him. And, this sounds kind of shitty. Like, if someone's coming at you, like, you'd think my take on it would be, I'd be asking questions, not, looking to pay them off, to shut them up. Like, I'd like to know what's on their mind. Mm-hmm. So it makes you wonder what kind of upbringing this kid had. But also, like, he's an asshole in this movie, but so is George C. Scott. Because he, like, starts giving him the finger wag. Like, you took part in this murder, and you took part in the cover-up, and...
Yeah. So, I mean, right then, it's no surprise that the senator responds, like, aggressively, or defensively, I should say.
Yeah, you're saying, like, I murdered a fucking kid and took his place? Like, the fuck's wrong with you?
But it's weird because apparently they were testing out when they were testing the scene, they weren't quite sure at the beginning how they should have the senator react to it. And we got a hold of the audio of some test footage from when they were trying the scene, and one of the ways they tested the scene, the whole thing played out very differently than what we actually saw on the screen afterwards, like the end result. And I don't know how else to say it, how else to put it, but just things got really weird and took a very strange turn. But, you're going to find out what I'm talking about once we play this week's It Came From the Cutting Room Floor. got all the evidence I need to prove your father killed a real heir to the Carmichael fortune and replaced him with you as a child. Now what do you have to say about that?
It all makes sense. It explains so much. Why they changed my name when I was adopted. Why I had to spend so much time learning family history. Besides, I never really liked my father. He always seemed a little off.
Yeah, well, you're just as bad, going along with this heinous crime.
Now hold on, I didn't know of any crime. I was a kid, and as far as I knew, that's just how adoption worked.
Yeah, but...
And my father wanted me to go into some pretty shady business dealings when I was of age, but I refused.
Really?
Oh yes, before me the family business was very corrupt. But I was not allowing that to continue. As soon as I was in control, I made sure that it was cleaned up and run the right way.
Well, I didn't know that, but still, you're part of a conspiracy that caused a child's death.
That's true, and even though I didn't know it happened, I feel terrible that it did. But, I've started several children's charities since I took control of the fortune, including building a state-of-the-art hospital that's been responsible for saving the lives of thousands and thousands of children. Not to mention the work we've done with the homeless. And then there's the environmental legislature I've gotten through Congress since I've been a senator. Pollution has drastically declined because of my actions. In fact, my love of nature and my desire for its protection is the reason I got into politics in the first place.
But,
What's happened is a terrible tragedy, and my father was a evil man for doing such a thing. But is undoing everything I've accomplished now worth uncovering this ancient history?
No, I guess not. But what am I supposed to do? This freaking ghost is getting violent. I don't want to have to share a house with it.
Oh, that's not a problem. Let me make a call to some guys that can take care of this.
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters. But, not the good ones. They don't exist yet. The ones with the gorilla.
Ew.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about. That's the first believable scene from this movie.
I see, to me, I just found the whole thing very confusing. I'm more confused now than I was at the beginning. Like, did they just reference a failed TV show from the 1970s?
Nothing with Larry Storch I would consider a failure.
Wait, so that, little-known Ghostbusters TV show from the 70s exists in the same universe as this movie?
I can't imagine any universe where that show doesn't exist.
Yeah. George C. Scott really sounded different in this video audio clip as well. Like, I wonder, he might have been doing too much drugs because his voice was really off. But anyway, guys, that is The Changeling. Mike disagrees with me. I say go check it out if you're looking for a haunted house movie. I think you'll be okay with it. But anyway, what did you think of this movie? Have you seen it before? Do you disagree with what we had to say about it? Do you agree with Mike and think that don't waste your time? Or do you agree with me that it's fine, it's nothing wrong with checking it out? Let us know what you think. You've got a few ways to contact us. You can do it the old-fashioned way by dropping us an email at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod, or you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And of course, now you can also follow us on Instagram if you like to see some shots from the movie and Mike's thoughts in screenshots, which is basically Mike watching the movie, taking a bunch of screenshots, and continuously texting them to me while he's with his little quips, usually while I'm at work. So thanks for that. But you can follow us at Instagram at instagram.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And if you're feeling particularly generous, if you'd like us to reach our goal of moving into a a mansion that's rented to us by the Historical Society that's potentially haunted, you can make your donations at patreon.com/graveyard. All joking aside, all money that we receive goes directly to the production of the show. The show is free to listen to, but it's not free to produce. We actually have to pay for administration fees to get this show to you. So if you can help us out with that, not only do you get the immediate gratification of helping out the show, but you also get the immediate gratification of getting some bonus episodes. Each month, we record a Patreon-exclusive episode that's only available to our Patreon members. We do those a little differently than we do with the regular show. We will go through movies, giving a full synopsis from start to finish. We'll talk about certain subjects like our favorite horror movies, listing out our favorite ones. We got really creative with April's Patreon because on Friday the 13th, we actually played Friday the 13th, the game, on PS4 and recorded that. So check those out. And of course, we understand that not everybody is a well-to-do author that can rent a mansion from a historical society. But that's okay. You can still help us out a ton of other ways if you don't have the funds to help us out with. The best way to do that is to rate, review, subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever else you use to listen to our show. I'm sure it has some kind of rating. In the long run, like I said, that's what's going to help us out the most, a nice 5-star rating. And if that's not possible, you can share us on social media. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, you can look us up and share our page and our postings. And if nothing else, use word of mouth. That's a good way to let people know about our show. If you know somebody that'd like to listen to a couple of guys talk about horror movies, then make sure they know all about us and how they can get us. So, Mike, if people wanted to hear more of your voice, how could they go about doing that?
You can hear the resurrected show Technobabble on the Geek Fallout Productions Facebook page and podcast feed, where in addition to all the years of quality episodes of geek culture that you can find in the archive, we've recently revived Technobabble, which was my very first podcast, and we're back. We're talking about technology, scientific breakthroughs, technological advancements, gadgets, gizmos. All things techie, we talk. And also, you can hear me talk about Nintendo Power Magazine with my buddies on the Playing with Power podcast, where we talk about Nintendo Power Magazine as well as play old Nintendo games and do some skits about them. Usually related to food, because the bonus show in which we do that is called The Taste Test. And recently we've done Dick Tracy and Ninja Gaiden, and I think you've listened to those.
I certainly have.
And I think I did a pretty decent Dick Tracy impression.
Yep, you're good at being a dick, that's for sure.
I really walked into that one, but...
All I could think about when I was listening to your Dick Tracy episode was, for some reason, I didn't even think about Dick Tracy, the movie, or the comic strip. I thought about the Simpsons episode when they found out that Ned Flanders was actually a problem child. And they showed some footage of when he was in daycare. He runs into daycare and he, punches one of the kids. And he's like, "I'm Dick Tracy, take that, prune face." And then he kicks another kid or knocks him over. And he's like, "Now I'm prune face, take that, Dick Tracy. Now I'm Prune Tracy. Take that, dick face." But he cut it off just before he says dick face. That's the first thing that popped into my mind as soon as you guys started talking about that game.
When I was doing that show, the first thing that popped in my mind was the Duck Tracy episode of Looney Tunes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
The Great Piggy Bank Robbery.
That was good.
Where he's surrounded by all those horrifying-looking villains like Flat Top, Pickle Puss.
Yeah. So now we're going off on another tangent, but guys, yeah, if you want to hear more of Mike, that's the way to do it. Just look up those shows, and if you go to our social media pages, you'll actually be able to see some of the postings. We share some of the postings there, so you can discover those shows. And just thank you guys again. We really appreciate it, guys. Just want to mention that we've noticed steadily that our downloads are going up. Our average downloads per episode has been climbing continuously, and we really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for sharing the show and just for listening every week. Like, it means so much to us. And keep those messages coming. Like, we get so many messages from you guys, so many comments about the episodes and the movies that we do. And
such nice fan mail.
Yeah, great fan mail, and we love it. We really do appreciate it. Please keep all that stuff coming, and we'll keep the episodes coming. But until next time, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us on The Graveyard Shift.